Have you ever trusted the labels grass-fed, local handmade, or 100% natural on the cheese you buy?
Are you okay?
Turns out those are the very words used to cover up the truth. Some of the most popular cheeses in America, Pepper Jack, Monterey Jack, Mozzarella, and more, have just been recalled in an emergency due to extremely dangerous bacterial contamination. But what's sparking even more outrage isn't the bacteria itself. It's how big brands misled shoppers with the label natural selling products that were never properly safety checked, never traceable, and cut on equipment carrying contamination. All of it slipped quietly into everyday meals for millions of families without a single timely warning. And if you think this could never happen to you, check your fridge. Then watch until the end of this video before it's too late. Number 1. Pepper Jack grass-fed. Organic artisan cheese. Those words sound reassuring, don't they? Many people didn't hesitate to spend a few extra dollars on an organic grass-fed Pepper Jack, believing it was an investment in their health. But that very choice, which seemed like the safest one, has now become the center of the most serious cheese recall in America so far this year. The FDA confirmed that Pepper Jack, produced by Middlefield Original Cheese Co-op, a well-known cheesemaker in Ohio, tested positive for Listeria monocytogenes. This is not some vague advisory. Inspectors found the bacteria directly in finished products and on slicing equipment inside the facility. Specifically, the recalled Pepper Jack carries lot code 256661 and was sold in 8 Oz packages, 5 lb blocks, and 40 lb bulk blocks distributed between July 14th and August 7th, 2025, across multiple states, including Ohio, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Texas. What makes consumers feel betrayed is not simply a defective product. It is the fact that the very labels they trusted most, grass-fed and organic, turned out to be a shield for unsanitary practices. Buyers of organic Pepper Jack tend to be highly health-conscious, careful readers of labels, people who take time to choose responsibly. They do not deserve to be put at risk because of careless manufacturing or worse, deliberate cover-ups. Listeria is not the kind of bacteria that causes an immediate stomach ache or makes you vomit within hours like typical food poisoning. It works silently, leading to meningitis, miscarriage, sepsis. Sometimes symptoms only appear weeks later when it is already too late. The bigger concern is that Pepper Jack shows up in countless hot meals, from burgers and sandwiches to quesadillas. Its mild heat and creamy flavor make it easy to overlook any problem. Some restaurants even use the 40 lb bulk blocks from this same lot, which means the risk extends far beyond retail shelves, even in places where the Middlefield name never appears on the label. If you have already bought this cheese, there is no need to panic, but action is critical. Start by checking the label, lot code, and distribution dates. If they match, discard the product immediately and thoroughly. Clean knives, cutting boards, containers, and any surfaces it touched. Then monitor your health and contact a doctor if you notice fever, nausea, muscle aches, or persistent digestive issues. For those who still want to enjoy Pepper Jack without falling into the same trap, the safest move is to avoid cheese that is pre-sliced in stores or sold in unlabeled bulk blocks. Instead, look for fully pasteurized options clearly marked on the packaging as made from heat-treated milk. Vacuum-sealed products without gaps or signs of being recut are always more reliable than pieces sitting uncovered in a deli case. And if you pay close attention, you'll notice that some major US brands consistently maintain extremely strict sanitation checks, not because the law forces them to, but because they know no apology can ever restore trust once public health has been compromised. Those are the brands that deserve long-term loyalty far more than any label that simply says organic. Number 2, Monterey Jack. You don't need a fancy restaurant or a big party to come across Monterey Jack. This cheese is everywhere, melted over your lunchtime burrito, tucked inside a quesadilla at the corner Mexican spot, or piled on top of a sizzling plate of nachos at your favorite bar. Its flavor is mild, not too sharp, not too heavy. Easy for just about anyone to enjoy. That is exactly why it is used so widely. But because it feels so ordinary, almost no one expected that Monterey Jack would end up on the FDA's emergency recall list for Listeria contamination. The danger is not just a few bad slices. What makes this case alarming is that the contaminated Monterey Jack was packed into 40 lb blocks. the kind made specifically for restaurants, industrial kitchens, and large-scale food service. Which means you may have already eaten it without realizing it, with no label to check, no lot code to verify, and no way to trace your meal back to the factory. That realization is unsettling. You don't know what you ate, where you ate it, or whether your kids were with you that day. Since when did ordering from a casual restaurant become a gamble with your health? The irony is that many people avoid packaged food, choosing fresh dine-in meals to feel safer, without knowing the kitchen in the back might be using ingredients from the very batch that is now recalled. According to the FDA, the contaminated Monterey Jack came off the same production line as the Pepper Jack, and large slicing equipment used during processing may have spread the bacteria throughout entire blocks of cheese. The recall covers not only the 8 Oz retail packages, but also those large blocks for restaurants which never provide clear information to diners. So how can you protect yourself when eating out? The answer is in your choices. Instead of picking random spots, look for restaurants that are transparent about where their ingredients come from, that maintain a regular sanitation schedule, and that don't dodge your questions about what is in the food. It may sound picky, but any restaurant that truly cares about customer health should have no problem sharing those details. And if you want even more peace of mind, make Tex-Mex at home using Monterey Jack that is fully pasteurized, sealed in standardized packaging, and purchased from major supermarkets with regular quality checks. It may take more effort, but that is the price to pay if you want to enjoy cheese without rolling the dice on dangerous bacteria. Do not assume that dining out shields you from risk. Some hazards are not on the plate in front of you. They are buried deep inside the kitchen systems you never see. Number 3, farmer's cheese. In a country where industrial food has taken over nearly every grocery shelf, farmer's cheese has long carried its own special charm. That soft, mild cheese, not too pungent, not sealed in layers of plastic, not tagged with a scannable chip. You'd usually find it at local farmers markets, sold by someone in a cloth apron with a simple smile, while buyers believed they were doing something good for their bodies. A gift from the countryside, less processed, less meddled, with more authentic nutrition. But then, that trust gets ripped apart. Not by a casual blog post or some vague online warning, but by an official recall notice where farmer's cheese suddenly appears alongside mass-produced cheeses. The problem isn't artificial additives. It lies in the very nature of the cheese itself. Its high moisture, low salt, and lack of preservatives. The very things that make farmer's cheese feel pure are exactly what make it fragile. The bigger concern is where people usually buy it. Often with no clear label, no lot number, no trace of where it came from. Sometimes it's just a chunk of cheese wrapped in wax paper, scribbled with a marker sitting in an ice-filled tray with no one knowing how long it has been there. Honest vendors may swear their milk is clean at the start, but what about after that? Who guarantees the fermentation process isn't contaminated, or that cutting, wrapping, and transport don't spoil the product? Because of their faith in the words homemade, many buyers overlook the basics. They don't ask about expiration dates, don't check storage conditions, and don't question the lack of ingredients listed. So when a recall is announced, the first reaction isn't fear, it's disappointment. Like being let down by a close friend you thought would never betray you. In the most recent recall list, farmer's cheese was named right alongside the big brands. And what makes it even more dangerous is the silence of small retailers. Stores that never post recall notices, vendors who don't get emails from regulators, and customers who never realize what they've brought home. No one is telling you to avoid homemade cheese. But homemade doesn't mean immune to bacteria, mistakes, or risk. The closer a product is to human hands, the stricter the oversight needs to be, because there's no system standing behind you when things go wrong. There's no QR code to scan for the truth. The very thing that gives you comfort might be the same place where risk is quietly waiting to strike. Number 4, Colby. Are you sure what you are eating is Colby, or is it just tinted cheddar? It sounds like a weekend trivia question. But in today's American cheese market, it is one worth asking seriously. Colby, with its familiar yet confusing name, has become one of the easiest cheeses to mislabel and exploit on grocery shelves. The problem is that it looks and tastes too much like cheddar. From its color to its fat content, its texture, even the slightly sweet finish as it melts, the two are nearly indistinguishable. Unless you are a trained chef, most people can't tell real Colby from softened cheddar or dyed blends. That ambiguity has created a dangerous gray zone in the food industry. A space where simply swapping a label or italicizing a line on the package can instantly redefine a product. Some suppliers take advantage of this to move old stock mix and shredded leftovers, blend different types of milk, or even relabel batches of cheddar with surface cracks or discoloration as Colby. Because Colby doesn't need long aging or a bold profile, as long as it is soft orange and melts well, it qualifies for the shelf. If you think these tricks only happen with small, unknown brands, think again. Plenty of products labeled Colby are sold in major chains, but leave out basic details: what kind of milk was used, how long it was aged, whether pasteurization and fermentation were certified. Even worse, some packages of Colby carry no production date, no lot number, and are identified mainly by one thing: their orange color. We live in an age where a QR code can take you straight to the factory floor, yet some foods still end up on our plates with zero traceability. Consumers often become victims of their own buying habits. They see the appealing color, taste something creamy and soft, and think, yeah, that must be Colby, so they buy it. No label check, no ingredient scan, no curiosity about where it came from. That casual trust feeds a cycle of blind consumption where no one truly knows what they are eating, only that they already ate it. The scary part isn't Colby itself. Made properly, it is still a cheese you can trust. What is frightening is the unchecked confusion, the lack of accountability, and the silence when mislabeling is exposed. After all, who is going to file a lawsuit over a slice of cheese? This kind of confusion may not cause instant illness, but it leaves a quiet damage behind. Not in your stomach, but in the way we slowly lose our ability to tell the difference between genuine quality and marketing tricks. Number 5. Cheddar is the best-selling cheese in America. That is not a subjective opinion, but a cold statistic. More than 2 billion pounds of cheddar are consumed every year, showing up everywhere from school lunches to Thanksgiving tables. Yet that very dominance hides a troubling truth: no one is really in control of cheddar anymore. Take a look at today's cheese aisle, and what do you see? Mild sharp, extra sharp. Age 6 months, age 1 year some with no label at all. Organic, grass-fed, non-GMO, hormone-free. Stamped with Made in the USA, branded Irish, or simply marked Cheddar style. Each package makes a promise. Each label tells a story. But who is accountable when something goes wrong? When a product spoils, gets recalled, or has no clear origin, who steps forward to accept responsibility? The cheese industry has turned into a marketing playground where value lives in words printed on the packaging rather than the quality inside. Cheddar is no longer just cheese. It has become a brand, a gimmick, a costume designed to appeal to every type of shopper, from deeders to foodies. And like any product that has been over-commercialized, its true character is fading. Surrounded by dozens of choices, consumers feel like they are in control, but in reality, they are wandering through a maze of labels built to confuse. No one really knows what counts as authentic cheddar. No one can say for sure if the block they are eating was aged properly, pasteurized safely, or if it is just an industrial product pressed into shape, dyed, and stamped with a familiar name. And if one version gets recalled, how many of the others that share the same factory equipment and process need to be questioned too? Nobody knows, and nobody wants to admit it. Standing in front of the cheddar shelf today feels less like making a choice and more like placing a bet. Too many options do not always mean freedom. Sometimes they strip away your ability to tell what is real and what is just marketing. We pick based on the color of the packaging, a recognizable brand, or the word organic printed in italics. Very few people flip the package over to read the ingredients, the origin, or the lot number. Worse, when something does go wrong, like the recent recall, the information comes out in drips. A few websites post and update a small sign at the checkout counter, but there is no transparent system linking producers to consumers. And as always, cheddar stays on the shelves. People keep buying. Life goes on as if nothing happened. The problem is not cheddar itself. Cheddar in its truest form remains a worthy icon of American food culture. The real problem is misplaced trust broken apart by dozens of overlapping labels. That is what leaves people vulnerable, uncertain, and unprotected. It is not cheddar that has been compromised. It is trust crushed under the weight of too many labels. Number 6. Gouda. A holiday evening. Golden light strung across the room, soft music humming through a warm kitchen. On the table, a platter of Gouda is neatly arranged, each slice curved slightly glowing with a buttery yellow hue laid between fresh grapes, thin apple slices, and crisp butter crackers. It is the kind of platter you see at every gathering, from the office holiday party to the church New Year's potluck, even the spring get-together at school. People stand around laughing, chatting, picking up little bites with toothpicks. Everything feels safe. Everything feels, or so it seems. Yet right in the middle of that cozy setting, Gouda may be the silent spark waiting to ignite. No one thinks about risk when grabbing a piece of cheese from a buffet tray. No one checks lot numbers or traceability labels when the cheese has already been sliced, arranged, and served. The danger here is not the slice of cheese itself, but the deafening silence of the warning chain. In recent recalls, major supermarkets sold batches of contaminated cheese without posting signs, without notices at checkout, without emailing loyalty members. And the media, most outlets mentioned it once briefly and then moved on to the next headline. And so millions of people kept eating Gouda as if nothing had happened. Not because they were careless, but because they were never told. They trusted that if something was wrong, someone would sound the alarm. But no one did. No one spoke clearly about which products, from where, and on what dates. Consumers in moments like these are pushed straight into a trap where every warning signal is smothered before it ever reaches them. Picture this: a block of Gouda from a recalled batch is bought by someone catering a church event. From that platter, dozens of people eat, including seniors' children and those with weakened immune systems. No one knows the cheese was recalled. No one checks because it is just Gouda, a common cheese, nothing to worry about. And so the circle of exposure begins not with breaking news, but with the complete absence of information. In that context, Gouda stops being a classy side dish. It becomes a weak point in the system of community safety, not because it is inherently dangerous, but because it is neglected. No one takes responsibility, no one gives timely warnings, and no one can be sure they are protected except by luck. This is not a story about technical errors. It is about systemic lack of transparency. When supermarkets stay silent to protect sales, when manufacturers quietly recall products without public compensation, when consumers are denied the right to track their food, they also lose the right to protect themselves. Sometimes the most dangerous thing is the one no one bothers to mention, and sometimes it sits right in the middle of the table. Number 7. Mozzarella that stretches in long strings has become almost a cultural food symbol in America. A steaming slice of pizza lifted up with the white, milky cheese pulling away like a ribbon of emotions. Crispy golden mozzarella sticks paired with a lightly spiced marinara sauce giving that satisfying crack at the very first bite. Or a chilled caprese salad, just a few slices of tomato, some basil leaves, and soft, sweet, delicate mozzarella that feels refined yet approachable. You do not need to be a foodie to love mozzarella. You do not need to know much about cheese to pick it first. That is why few people ever think mozzarella could be on a recall list. A cheese so common it shows up in daily meals and restaurants in nearly every refrigerator, yet it is not monitored as closely as most of us assume. And that is the real danger. The trap is in its familiarity. When a product becomes too common, consumers take it for granted. If something were wrong, surely we would be warned. If there were a risk, someone else would notice first. And if there were a recall, surely the brand we buy must be safe because it is so popular. So we stop reading labels. We stop checking batch codes. We stop asking about expiration dates, packaging processes, or sourcing details. Because in our minds, we have already decided mozzarella is nothing to worry about. But reality is not that simple. Not all mozzarella is the same. There is fresh mozzarella that must be kept cold, low-moisture mozzarella used in the food industry. Pre-sliced packs, shredded packs, even bite-sized balls. Each type has its own storage needs, shelf life, and packaging process. But very few consumers know the difference. For most people, mozzarella is just mozzarella white and soft, and that is the end of it. And that oversimplification opens the door to risks using it the wrong way, storing it at the wrong temperature, buying near-expired products without checking. Many mozzarella products are sold widely in small markets, and discount stores, often without clear manufacturer information, without proper English labels, or worse, repackaged in plain wrapping with no details at all. Sellers just want cheese that stretches. Buyers just want a cheap deal. And together, both sides ignore what matters most. Discovering that mozzarella can be part of a recall list feels like a jarring letdown. It is not fear so much as regret. Regret for not reading carefully, for not checking, for letting trust override caution. Regret for dismissing what should have been monitored most closely, precisely because it is the cheese we eat the most. Popularity does not mean harmlessness. It only delays the moment you realize the danger, and by then, it may already be too late. A single slice of pizza will not change your life, but a piece of cheese on that slice, if overlooked at the wrong moment, just might. Beneath the sweet, soft, and familiar surface of cheese lies a truth that should shake anyone. These products are no longer as safe as we once believed. The 7 names we have just talked about are not distant or exotic brands. They are already in your shopping cart, in your fridge, at your family gatherings, and even in the meals you order at restaurants without a second thought. DS-TUS CTA.
This video does not promote division within the United States or encourage segregation. All content is presented for the purpose of exploration, analysis, and fostering discussion based on current events, public sentiment, and social trends. We fully respect the United States Constitution and all federal regulations. If today's analysis made you think, drop a comment so we can keep the conversations going. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you will never miss our next independent deep dive.